All right. Today's awesome subject.
Hey
Hollow
Josh,
Earth.
by the way, how you doing?
Fantastic. Doing fantastic. It's been nice. Workload completely diminished recently.
I hear you. Good for you, man. I'm glad that you're more chill, more relaxed, more Aussie.
It's very nice. Not going to sleep at like 5 a.m. because I got to stay up and do handovers. Incredible.
And then I'll see you. I know I was surprised seeing you up at 11 o'clock. I'm
I
like,
know.
what the
I know,
fuck's going on?
I'm going to sleep at 1. It's amazing. Instead of, 5. Hopefully this maintains for a while.
Sweet. Hopefully.
Yeah. All right. Give me what you know about Hollow Earth.
Hold on. Don't we say another episode of the Vegemite, the Taco and Vegemite show?
Episode 4.
Episode 4. What was the question again?
What do you know about Hollow Earth?
There's only a few things that I know of. Obviously, the Godzilla movie, Godzilla and Kong.
Yeah.
And then the last Godzilla movie where Kong is forced to live in Hollow Earth.
Mm.
And then the other one is that watching the History Channel of some Air Force colonel or Air Force something flying over the North Pole and
Claiming there's like giant chasms or like cities.
like a
things
hole,
that.
like a hole
Yeah.
that lets you fly in.
Yeah.
But yet, people have gone up there and
It shows up a lot in movies, like more than you think. Like they got the Journey to the Center of the Earth. They've made that one like 2 or 3 times now. There's a few ones like that. Yeah.
Land of the Lost, I think, is another one.
Yeah.
But that's from movies pretty much. But that's all I know. Tell me, hit me with your Hollow Earth theory.
Hollow Earth theory.
Holla at your Earth.
In your knowledge, what is the Hollow Earth theory then?
It just looks like there's another world inside our world, like a Russian nesting doll.
So there's like you go through the passageway and there's Earth number 2 on the inside.
Yep.
Basically. Yes,
there's a Hollow Earth. Are we in Middle Earth and there's another Earth above us?
very possibly. I mean, that would be a crazy thing for the flat earthers to figure out. Like the dome is real and it's just the next layer is in another Earth on the outside.
The firmament?
Yeah. So there's 2 versions of Hollow Earth, effectively. And there's even argument within the Hollow Earth communities on this one. So
These guys go have crazy theories and they can't even
it's like any
agree
other
with themselves?
Yeah, it's like any other crazy theory. There's always going to be sub-factions. So the concept proposes that the Earth is either entirely hollow, so there's a whole extra inside, or there's just substantial interior space that isn't publicly known about. So you got like there's another world inside, and then we've got those mega caverns are just the tip of the iceberg.
So hold on. If there's another whole Hollow Earth, how far do we have to dig to get to it?
It's a good question. I know that I think it's in, I want to say Russia. I think they've dug the deepest hole ever, which was just like a single drill going down till they get to the point where they say the density of the Earth and the weight it causes it to collapse in before the drill can,
And it's even
gets
hot, like
worn
it
down.
even gets warm.
Yeah,
It
yeah.
gets pretty warm, and
I think they got down like
it is in Russia. I forgot how far it is, but it is pretty deep.
They got down like I want to say like a kilometer, something like that,
yeah.
like quite deep, which isn't a lot when you think about how the diameter of the world, but still.
But how thick it is. Even religious people said they stuck a mic down there and you could hear the crying agonies of people in hell. But who knows?
So we know it's at least a kilometer deep.
Right. I know there was there's something hole up in the state of Washington where some dude dropped like 6 miles worth of like fishing lure down there.
Yeah.
And the government said they confiscated their land and gave him money, and I think he ended up moving to Australia and then coming back.
I think I might know the one. Like they reported on it, and then it was suspiciously filled in like a few months later or something.
And then I tried to look it up, and it just seemed like it was all just horseshit.
Yeah, I know there's been some like massive holes that have been found, but like, you go in and there's obviously an explanation most of the time. It's like sinkholes, seismic activity. But I mean, like the idea of there being underground worlds isn't new. like you go into any old culture, you've got like the Greeks had the underworld. There's the Nordic Svartalheim. Even the Christians, hell, they were like, it's down there.
The Mayans have, if you go down to the Cancun and the Yucatan Peninsula, they have the cenotes, which are these massive cavernous freshwater caves that, scientists and archaeologists with modern technology got to places that they don't understand, a kilometer underwater, and they're like, how the fuck did the Mayans get down, all the way over here? They have burial, these little weird islands underneath the caves where, where they're literally, there's parts of it where where there's a cave above you for over a kilometer and they're still swimming through it.
Yeah, I think I've seen some of the like photos of that recent mega cavern they found maybe a year ago or something. They're like, you could fit skyscrapers.
Yeah, there's one in San Luis Potosí outside of the city where I think if you put the Empire State Building, the only thing that would stick out is like the very tip of the antenna.
Yeah. So it's not unreasonable to think that maybe there is a hollow Earth.
If there is a hollow Earth, how do they get sunlight?
They don't. They either... Oh, okay. So some say that there's an artificial sun inside. Some say that there's a natural sun, like what we think of as the molten core, and that heat is just there's another sun inside. And then you've got the more... like it's darkness and it's reptilian humanoids type thing who don't need the sunlight because they've evolved over millions of years or whatever to like not need it.
Bioluminescent fish that are like in the
stuff like
Marianas Trench.
Yep, glowing mushrooms and stuff that just light everything up. Or maybe they have electricity by now. Who knows? They might be just as advanced as we are.
Maybe. Yeah.
So obviously it does reoccur a lot, and because of the ties in folklore as well, you've got all the media that comes around it, and then a lot of that stuff comes up and people make a connection between this movie and they go, oh, this is secretly evidence, or it's a psyop to misdirect from reality.
Well, that specific pilot that flew over the North Pole and said he flew into that massive hole in the earth said that he saw civilization, he saw lush jungles, like he was giving descriptions of like Brazil, the Amazon, with the Congo, something like that, with dinosaurs and shit like that.
If there was a giant hole up there, you'd think it might actually be feasible that there could be plant life. Because if you went down deep enough, now you've got the heat from going down that offsets the cold of being on the pole.
Photosynthesis, plants they need light.
If
they need sunlight.
Giant hole and sun can just come down, we're talking like effectively just a giant chasm. Maybe
6 months out of the year, it's all dark.
There's a lot of plants that can survive with little to no sunlight. I mean, think of like cacti, for example. They go for months without water.
Right.
To go without sunlight.
I guess genetically or... Yeah. Not genetically, because, the way they grew up, not they grew up, but and where they were placed and due to the environment, they were able to adapt.
It's like, nature survives the ones that can live off a little bit less light. They reproduce, and then the ones that come out, the ones that live off of less light, and so on and so forth until you
Dr. Ian Malcolm from Jurassic Park, life finds a way.
That's it. Yep. Evolution. Survival of the fittest. So I looked into this. So obviously Hollow Earth goes back thousands and thousands of years, but it doesn't show up formally until the 17th century. A fella named Edmund Halley, who was an English astronomer, he proposed that there might be a hollow shell about 500 miles thick with two inner concentric cells. So you go in, Hollow Earth, go in again, second Hollow Earth. So his idea was that very much Russian nesting doll, multi-layered Earth, quickly disproven. So quickly disproven by everyone who read his stuff. He suggested there could be separate atmospheres within there which support different life. But then again, no sunlight. So
what was his thinking that he even came up with that, or
17th century scientist? He was an astronomer, so he wasn't exactly a biology.
People were still thinking that the Earth was flat and they're gonna fall off the edge.
Yeah, wasn't super educated back in the 17th century.
By that time, I guess by that time, they were circumnavigating the globe, so they knew it wasn't flat anymore.
Yeah, that's it. And then, of course, once you propose an idea like that, there's going to be other academics who start looking into it. Not everyone's the most critical of information, so others start to become proponents of it, and they write their own books, and it just slowly takes off. Never really exploded in popularity until the internet, but there was enough that
Movies.
there was consistently new literature coming out that like proposed it was a real thing.
I guess movies and sci-fi and things like that, and fantasies about
Yeah.
like, hey,
I think if you go back 300 years, if you get one book every 50 years, that's enough to keep it floating around in the zeitgeist before someone else discovers, hey, this thing's been going on for 150 years. Maybe it is real, and then they write a book on it, and it just keeps the cycle going.
True.
But, it was disproven by a fella named Henry Cavendish in 1798. He published a measurement of the density of the Earth based on a torsion balance. I have no idea what that means. But those results were later repurposed into a measurement of the gravitational constant, which is still used in physics today. It's like the idea that our gravity is stable because it's based on the density of the Earth. So like you can be anywhere on Earth and you can use the same gravitational figure for your equations and it'll probably work out, which is pretty cool. He said based on the size of the Earth, the force of the gravity on its surface, the average density of the planet is 5.1515 grams per cubic centimeter. And then he looked at the density of surface rocks, which are only about 2.75 grams per cubic centimeter. So he said, in order for this to average out, there can't be hollow space because the rock would have to be more dense than is feasible. And so he went, there's not enough room in the math for there to be empty space. Otherwise, the gravity wouldn't wouldn't balance out. The equations would fall apart.
And I'm guessing it would just be crushed also, right?
Yeah, and then it would collapse in on itself. So he's got there's a few different things, but he said basically we know what the average density is based on its like movement through the stars and how it interacts with the planets. He went, it's just not possible. There's also some other stuff. Seismic waves travel the way around the world in a way that's not possible with hollow Earth. If there was hollow space, then they wouldn't be able to. The seismic activity wouldn't pass through empty space. Yeah.
Earthquakes, plate tectonic. With that, how do hollow Earth people try to
Yeah, well, I mean, there's a third one as well, which is that gravity causes masses to clump together. Like, just everything would clump together. If the Earth was hollow, it would just collapse in on itself, and that would be solid. So it could have been hollow at some point in the past, and then it's collapsed in on itself, and that's what we've got today. But this does raise one issue, which is every explanation I read, I studied science at a low level. I have no idea what I'm reading with half this stuff. And if you don't have any background in science, you just can't understand any of the explanations. Like, they're talking about gravitational constants, they're talking about Earth density, and most of the time it's going to raise more questions for you than answers.
But I think those are the type of topics where, like, oh, we don't understand gravity, but we know it's there, right? Because we're not floating away. So
Exactly.
it's a given. So if people want to debate it, well, what's their debate? It's like, we know I don't know about your beliefs, Josh, but we know the Earth is round and not flat.
The Earth is round, we know that. It is a nesting doll of hollow concentric spheres, according to these fellas.
That's the thing. I mean,
Yeah.
I mean, it does. Gravity, like you said, maybe that where it pulls things together. We used to dig in the dirt as a kid, and you'd find clumps of rock, clumps of dirt that look like rocks, and then you break them apart, and it's just pressure. It's just everything's on top of it. Just the way that you get petroleum from organic matters that have died, and all of a sudden they start getting buried, and over time, and it gets compressed into which turns into petroleum oil.
Yeah. There's even some new theories now that they think that petroleum doesn't come from dinosaurs. It's coming from like fungal matter and stuff that breaks down over millions of years, which means it's
it's all organic. It's all organic.
Yeah.
So whether it's trees, whether it's animals.
There just wasn't enough dinosaur mass to have given us the volume that we've got.
But forests, grasslands, things like that.
Everything.
I think the largest
decomposes.
I think the largest living organism is like I don't remember if it's like a piece of grass somewhere.
It's a forest, I believe.
Like one living tree that's over like 100, it's like 100 square kilometers
Yeah.
or something
Well,
like
I don't
that.
think I've looked into that
It's
one.
in
And
Utah somewhere.
It's like multiple trees
From the same,
intertwined.
it's the
to
same tree
It's the same tree.
that's grown out
Damn.
for generations. So
Yeah.
it's somewhere in Utah.
There's also a giant patch of mycelium, like the
Like moss or
the
grass.
body of what mushrooms grow out of, the actual plant. Like mushrooms are like the fruit of what the actual thing is, and it covers way more space than those forests. But
But I think
they
that's
don't consider
cyclical,
it.
right? It lives or it's there. It's an organism, then it dies quickly, right? It's not.
No, they live for ages. The problem is that they intertwine with other fungus and they like protect each other and they share nutrients and stuff. But I think the issue is it like a matter of definition, or we can say like one tree is one tree if we can check the root system. But mycelium, like, how do we know it's one piece and it's not hundreds?
The Last of Us.
So we got that, but then things get a bit crazy. So when this fella, what was his name, who talked about flying into the hole in the top? So do you know what the name of this supposed city is?
No, but please tell me it's funny.
It's called Agartha or Agartha. They can't even agree.
I gotcha.
They can't even agree on the spelling and the pronunciation in the community. There's like 5 different spellings and ways to say it.
Sounds real to me.
So it's a legendary kingdom said to be located on the inner surface of the earth. Though the exact story varies, there's a few different versions. Said to be located probably somewhere in Central Asia and led by a powerful figure sometimes called the King of the World, who secretly influences the surface.
Are these the reptilians?
There's no real consistency on what they are. Some might just say it. Some say they're just people, just an underground civilization of people. Some say it's a whole other species. There's really no consistency. So Agartha, this immense legendary kingdom, sometimes they say it involves a king of the world, sometimes multiple kings. Some say that it's like a singular king who's been living for thousands of years. Some say it's just a title and they're obviously replacing them with succession.
Please tell me it's Lord of the Rings, where they give rings to the humans and then but one ring to rule them all.
Or something like that, yeah. They've got, let's see, they also think it could be in Tibet or the Himalayas. Some variations of the story even mention hidden entrances, which vary again by the telling. Some have included Ayers Rock in Australia. Some say the Great Pyramid of Giza is the secret entrance. The Earth's poles, so North and South Pole. Mato Grosso, the Gobi Desert.
You're covering like every part of the earth.
Yeah, it's basically, yeah. So there's a trillion different versions of this. It's more tied to the like occultism side of Hollow Earth. So a lot of them just say there's a Hollow Earth and there's an ecosystem down there, and then you've got the fringe groups that talk about Agartha, but that seems to be what pops up a lot more when I start looking into it than you'd think. I don't know if that's because people who are that far into it are so deep they're like, I have to write about this and tell the world while the rest keep to themselves, or if it really is the more popular belief of it.
Do you think they get so invested that they can't, it becomes their identity, and if they, if they say no, it's something else, and they lose themselves, so they have to fight for this
Yeah,
cause.
you've already committed, you've already sabotaged your personal relationships. You can't go back to your wife and kids. All right, I was wrong. There's no Agartha. The world is still hollow, but there's no Agartha. So there's a whole bunch of theosophy groups, derived groups that have this shared belief in something called the Grand Lodge of Agartha, which is made up of ascended masters who secretly control the world. Couldn't figure out what ascended means. I don't know if that means they just ranked up or if we're going into full-blown ascending to another form of life or gaining.
That's a whole nother like new age type of religion. You have to look into Saint Germain. I'll have to give you a podcast so you can listen to it. As a ascended master and hippie new age. I think growing up in Northern California, the Bay Area, people believed in ascended masters, and these hippies were in Mount Shasta with crystals and
Yeah.
all this
See, I
stuff.
get
They
a lot
think-
of them on my feeds.
Yeah, I think they even think Jesus Christ is an ascended master. So stuff like that.
I did find one group though called the Order of the Solar Temple that were quite believed in it. They started committing mass suicide in the 90s under the belief they were completing some sort of cycle in the plan of Agartha and the Ascended Masters, which was pretty cool. Some guy named Dwight York, who was the leader of the New Warbian Nation, titled one of his books, Shambhala and Agartha, Cities Within the Earth. I've been trying to find a copy, but I can't find any that are going to cost me a lot of money, so I haven't gone that deep. There's a bunch of other theories. What are some of the theories you know that people use to back up Hollow Earth or justify believing in it?
Sinkholes is one that I heard, but those seem to be very, there's a scientific reason for them. There's an underground river or decay, and then all of a sudden, things like that. In the movie, going back to Godzilla, where he's able to, he's in one part of the ocean, the Pacific, then all of a sudden he's in the South Atlantic, and
he's moving through the Hollow Earth tunnels.
Hollow Earth tunnels, exactly. So
yeah, it's something called mass wasting is responsible for a lot. I didn't look this one up, but I had a student who did a project on it, which is the weight of all mass is pushing down on the mass underneath it, which is one of the things that causes like avalanches and things like that on mountains. Like mountains are literally squishing themselves from the weight, where they get a little shorter every year.
Well, I know with like earthquakes, it is like the weight of the continents and the plates shifting, on top of each other. I know currently the Rockies, I guess the Rocky Range, whether it's in the U.S., Canada, or even that range extends from Chile all the way up to Alaska. And I know specifically in the U.S., that range was initially twice the size of the Himalayas, but they're starting to die. Basically, they're starting to crumble because they're just not growing anymore, and there's a rift growing in. Is it the Texas Rift? It's starting. The continent's starting to slowly rip itself apart.
Yeah. I mean, you know about Pangea?
Yes, when it was all just one continent.
Yeah, and but I know still going on.
Right.
Yeah.
It's still
all falling apart. And there's even
It's just that we're the timeline of us is so small, and
there's even some I want to say island, not too far. I think it's off the coast of the US. It gets like a half a foot closer to the States every 10 years or something.
I mean, the Himalayas are currently still climbing, but we'll in our small lifespan we'll never see it. I know Los Angeles, because of the San Andreas Fault, and I don't know how many years we'll be neighbors with San Francisco, and it's currently like a 6-hour drive or over 300 miles away. So
shorten your commute if you just wait a few thousand years.
If you were born,
cut 3 hours off of it.
But so I know that theory is the pressure on top of each other does affect our lives, and it could be catastrophic with earthquakes, volcanoes. I've never heard it so much with avalanches, but I know that stuff even affects the weather, because of the rotation of the Earth.
Yeah. So I got a few different arguments they make to back up their claims. So one is that
are you playing devil's advocate now? You're believing in the Hollow Earth?
I've gone through and I disproved at least one, just out of my own interest. So a lot of theorists say that there's no fly zones over the North and South Pole, so aircraft just aren't allowed to pass over there. I looked at it; it's not at all true. They highly advise against it for safety reasons. We've got
some flights like China to the U.S. Yeah, they barely touch the North Pole.
Yeah, but they try to stay as far away because increased radiation exposure. The atmosphere is thinner and there's more radiation coming through from the sun. That's one thing.
Are those northern lights? The northern and southern lights?
I think that might be what's causing it. Yeah. I didn't look that far into it. There's challenges with navigation because the magnetic instability up there means your equipment's just not as accurate. So that's always a concern. Extreme and unpredictable weather Obviously, it makes sudden changes versus over here you can predict over most countries. They got limited air traffic control. No one's there to monitor and communicate. And,
Might crash into a UFO.
yeah, it might crash into a UFO. Yeah. There's no emergency airports for if something goes wrong. Nowhere to land safely. And then problems with your fuel can freeze. Apparently, the fuel can just straight up freeze in the engine, and then you can't fly anymore, which is pretty cool.
Sounds.
I wouldn't.
Sounds all correct.
I never would have even considered that if I was looking into flying. I would have been like, yeah, it's probably fine.
You would think of a combustion would keep everything warm, but
yeah.
I mean, everything that you just said sounds legit.
Yeah. Here's another one. Flat Earth is a psyop designed to redirect attention away from Hollow Earth, which is the truth. I like this one because they redirect one conspiracy to another. I always love these ones.
Yeah, those are always the best because they end up fighting each other and they're just both out there.
Yeah. And then I got this one. This one I went on a little bit of a deep dive because this fascinates me. But what do you know about the Nazi expeditions to the poles?
I knew the Nazis were doing crazy stuff with the occult and trying to find like the perfect human, and they were looking for relics and artifacts to give them powers and kind of justify their goal, their end goal.
Yeah, like if they can figure out magic, they've got the war down.
And I know Indiana Jones kind of touches with that with like looking for the the Ark of the Covenant and the Holy Grail and stuff like that.
So the Nazis did go to Antarctica when in 1938 to 39, although they went there to preemptively claim the land before Norway could get to it, and they wanted to set up whaling stations because back in the 30s,
in the southern or northern pole,
Antarctica,
and so South Pole,
and
Norway wanted. I mean, that's so far away from both countries.
They wanted the whaling stations they could set up because whale oil was the go-to in a lot of lanterns and other lighting sources back then. We destroyed all the whales now, so we don't really think about it. But whale oil was like the biggest industry before we came up with electricity and made that widespread and made it easy. They had other uses for it as well. It's a really high quality oil, apparently. They wanted to call it New Swabia. Just a little bit of information there for you as well.
Sweet.
Yeah, so they did go there. They set up for like 2 years. Didn't accomplish a whole lot because of the war and stuff like that, but they did manage that. Some of the information. So I found this one post on Imager. It's supposedly a document from the KGB archives instructing U-boat operators how to reach Agartha safely.
KGB, you think it was Putin?
Putin, he was still alive back then, man. That guy's immortal. But I looked at it. It's the sketchiest, dodgiest looking document I've ever seen. It's clearly not real.
With an X?
Yeah. So the person who shared it has not found any other evidence which disproved its legitimacy. That's the thing. No one could disprove it because it's KGB documents. They're not going to come out and say, we have documents, but that's not one of ours. Like, that's just ridiculous on their end. So it's like absence of evidence is not evidence of absence.
Right.
Yeah. The instructions were detailed though. Like elaborating on the degrees.
11 minutes north and then...
No, like explaining like the inner workings of a submarine and how to adjust your ballast tanks correctly for the salinity of the water. Like it was deep level stuff, which from what all the comments said, especially there was a submarine operator who was like, this is retarded. Like this guy's just pulled documents and slapped together some nonsense. There was the German Antarctic expedition. They were just trying to get whale fat. Some aerial reconnaissance was done, which concluded that most of the north coast was in reality an ice cliff. So that messed with being able to move around. They also had a ship to launch planes off of, but this was like the 40s. These weren't proper aircraft carriers. Yeah, I'm sure they lost a lot of them to freezing fuel and other problems.
Oh, for sure.
This is the strongest piece of evidence on Agartha as well, by the way. So they're not off to a solid start. And then you ever heard of a fellow named Richard Byrd?
No.
Admiral, I believe.
Is this the guy who flew into it from the U.S. on the U.S. side?
Yeah.
I think that might be it. I think that might be him.
So he claimed So it's claimed
Right after
Operation
World War
High
II,
Jump.
right?
Yeah, Operation High Jump, which is a military exercises conducted by the U.S. military just for the possibility that they might have to go to war on the South or North Pole. So like, we need to check the areas and start doing research. Like, what kind of issues are we going to run into? Particularly because the Germans, when they went, when the Germans started expanding out towards like Russia and Poland and stuff, they just weren't prepared for the weather, and that was not the North and South Pole. Like, these guys had no clue, so they went and did stuff there. Supposedly, the expeditions were ended after they were repulsed by Nazi UFOs, which is really cool.
I know. They do think the poles are UFO like bases, underground bases and stuff like that. But
Santa Claus is an alien. That's how he gets around that advanced UFO tech.
That he might be living in Hollow Earth.
Yeah. So this operation did confirm the existence of a Nazi base, likely one of the
whaling stations,
likely a whaling station or something. And they justify that was the real reason they went there, is they knew about the base and they wanted to investigate further. But all they found was like abandoned buildings and stuff. Also, a lot of this rests on the assumption that this fella, Richard Byrd, claimed there's a continent as big as the United States with its own flora and vegetation. Supposedly, the evidence comes from his own diary.
So how, if he's flying, who knows where he's taking off from, flying into the middle of the earth, how is he seeing a continent the size of the U.S., flying across it, then flying back?
Go up really, really high and take a picture.
Or
you fly non-stop and you go, oh, the weather's not what I expected and this is not the landmass, and you know how long it takes to fly across the states and you work that out. Not a lot of good evidence, though, from him. Although one thing I did find, because I found this Reddit post where a bunch of Hollow Earthers were trying to figure out if they could go do an expedition themselves. They found out for like $30,000 you could go there. It's not that expensive. Though. Like, you just have to go to...
All these guys should just do a Kickstarter and just send one or two dudes.
Yeah. They're not coming back. Those dudes are not coming back.
Let them do it. Hey, you know what? I don't believe in it, but I'll pay.
You'll pay, yeah. I want them to take cameras on like a live satellite link because I want to see that footage.
I'll donate, yeah.
That would be great. I'd donate. We might start. We'll put together a fundraiser to all our listeners, and we'll send. If you believe in Hollow Earth, we'll get some cash together for you, and we'll send you.
If you don't make it, that's on you. We are not responsible.
That's basically everything I have, but I did save the link for this. This doc. Oh, my Imager link's broken.
Is it the link? Is it the map?
Here's one. I'm going to show you this.
You want me to describe it?
Yeah, you give us a nice description of it.
It just looks like a regular map of the Atlas.
Yeah, there's a...
With the German eagle and the Nazi... and the Nazi... symbol next to it. And then
yeah, I'm sure there were other parts to it, but a lot of the links are dead, so not all of it's still up there, but apparently there's quite a few different documents.
Well,
so if you listen to this and you want to learn more, you just gotta scour through Reddit threads and nonsense websites like I did. You'll find it. It just looks like old-timey cartography, but clean. It's even got that like yellow
stain,
browning to the paper,
aging. Yeah. And a map. It looks like bar charts or line charts.
Yep.
But keeping with the Nazi propaganda, way to do marketing there, guys.
Yeah. So what's your final verdict?
No Hollow Earth. Not at all. What about you?
I'm not convinced. Although I'm interested in like these new discovered subterranean caverns of water. They now think there's more water under the earth than there is in the oceans, and it's fresh drinkable water. So that means there's a lot more interior space than we thought. But no one's living in underground water.
I know there is aquifers that have a lot of water, probably more natural water than there is on Earth, or on the surface at least. But finding massive sized oceans of water, maybe, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, these are like
not that big,
full to the brim as well. There's no empty space in them, and nobody could be living in there. Maybe like microbes, possibly, reptilian fishmen, stuff like that.
Maybe not that. Yeah, Draco, the lizard people. Maybe not that big because I mean you do get like massive pockets of natural gas or oil, petroleum. So maybe there is big parts of water. Big underground lakes, underground oceans, but the size. I mean, the Pacific's massive.
Yeah, these aren't like individual ones. There's
Collective,
loads.
as a collective.
Collectively,
Oh, okay,
loads of them.
But even then, if you collect them all, the Pacific is still massive.
Yeah. Then again, it does make me curious, like how much water is in the oceans versus underground, because there's an insane amount of water in the oceans. Which means, but then it also means if this is true, they're definitely going to start like siphoning this out as drinking water. And then there's going to be complications. Like, think fracking's bad. What's going to happen when we remove like 1 trillion liters of water from some underground cavern?
The world is going to collapse. We were talking about the gravity. Not the world, but parts are definitely going to start sinking. I know in California, because of the droughts, farmers in Central Valley had to drill further and further into the aquifer to water their crops or the cattle out there. So there are parts that they were able to measure in satellites that have sunk because of taking out water of these the water table in these aquifers underneath the state.
They'll find some new stuff. They've been doing like a LiDAR technology is starting to get a lot cheaper than it used to be. Doing some crazy...
and they're able to measure it up to like millimeters.
Yeah, well, they can do... It's like how they've done these flyovers of the Amazon, and they find entire cities, but you can't see them because the foundations are underneath, But once they start doing that, doing a full scan of the whole world, kilometers deep... First off, I don't know much about LiDAR, but if they start blasting that radiation or whatever it is across, we're all getting super cancer. But they'll get some cool knowledge out of it.
But at least you know if Hollow Earth is real or not, Josh, so we can go live down there.
How are we going to react if they do these massive scans and there's a giant city under the South Pole? If they've been there this long without being discovered, either they really keep to themselves and it's hard to get there, or their technology is some Wakanda level stuff and we just should stay away from them.
Yeah, Wakanda forever.
Wakanda forever.
Great episode.
Great episode. Oh, that was complete nonsense. If you guys like these, give us a suggestion for the next topic. Thank you very much. Also, we need a theme song. If you make music, send us a theme song. We genuinely couldn't care less if it's good or bad. We just need something to put at the beginning. So send us something through before we make one of our own that's
even worse.
Even worse.